In this video, I want to do a little case study on one of our trucks and look at how we're able to make $1,300 per day off of it. I'm going to break down the numbers, I'm going to tell you how I found this lane, and how I decide which lanes to run. My goal for this video is pretty simple, guys. It's to help you make better decisions when finding loads and run a profitable business even when rates are down like they are right now. All I ask in return from you is take a second and like the video, subscribe to the channel, and just watch the video to the end because I'm going to be giving away a lot of useful information in this video. All right, so let's just get into it. So the lane I want to break down for you guys is from Milwaukee, Wisconsin to Columbus, Ohio. Now, this is actually a dedicated lane that I was able to find by using the LOAD method. It stands for leverage, opportunity, acquire, and deliver. I'm almost done making a video on how I find direct shipper loads. I'll post that video hopefully sometime next week, so make sure your post notifications are turned on because I'm going to expose everything I know. Anyways, this dedicated lane is about 450 miles and it pays $3.35 per mile for the outbound and $2.80 per mile for the inbound. If we do some quick math, we can figure out the average trip rate by just adding these two numbers up and dividing by 2. So in our case, this would be about $3 per mile. The problem is most of you never take the time out of your day to calculate your average trip rate, which is why you end up picking up loads for $3.50 per mile to, say, Rhode Island, only to drive back empty because there's no loads coming out of there. It's really important you track ratios and KPIs like this or your business is going to sink. And I'm going to show you some more sneaky expenses you need to look out for later in this video. But anyways, back to what I was saying. The average trip rate for this lane is $3 per mile. And since we run this load a few times a week, we average about 2,600 loaded miles every single week. If we just do some simple math and multiply the average trip rate of $3 per mile by the number of loaded miles, I can see that we're making a total of $7,800 every single week from just one truck. And since we run this lane 6 days a week, that means we're making $1,300 per day. Now, this is my revenue, not my profit. So in other words, this is how much I'm making, not what I'm keeping. To figure that out, we'll have to dig in a little deeper. So as we already know, the weekly revenue is $7,800. The first big expense we have to account for is driver wages. The driver on this lane makes around $1,700 per week. And on top of that, since they're a W-2 employee, they also get benefits and stuff like that, which adds to this expense. If you're an owner operator and you don't have to pay a driver, you still need to fill this out with how much you're paying yourself every single week. Because remember guys, if you don't pay yourself first, you'll never get paid. Moving on, another big expense to look at is fuel. Now, fuel prices lately have hit record highs, but thankfully they're slowly coming down. I know that right now in my area, diesel prices are around $4.35 per gallon, and we spend about $1,500 per week just on fuel, which it's a lot. For insurance, we're spending about $144 per week. This really just depends on a lot of different factors, like the driver's record, the age of their license, the equipment they're operating, things like that. So since we've been around for a while and we're running a pretty tight ship in terms of safety, our insurance is actually pretty low compared to other trucking companies. For the tractor trailer payment, we actually have this truck fully paid off. So I'll just put a 0 here. If you're financing a brand new tractor trailer, your payments might be somewhere around $2,000 to $2,300 total for both the tractor and trailer. Again, this all depends on how expensive your truck is, how good your credit is, what interest rate you get, blah, blah, blah. The truck running this lane is paid off. So again, for us, it's $0. Finally, the last major expense we need to take into account is repairs and maintenance. Obviously, this isn't a fixed expense like insurance, and it's not really a variable expense like fuel. This is more like a reserve account, you know? I'm gonna put money into this account every single month just for repairs and maintenance, and whatever's left at the end of the year, I'll just add it back to my top line. For me, I like to keep this at 4 to 5% of my total revenue, which for this lane would be around $350 every single week. If you have to pay a dispatching or factoring company, you could also make a note of that, but we don't have to do either, so I'm just gonna leave it. So all in all, this one dedicated lane makes me $4,106 every single week in gross profit. You know, obviously, there are a lot more expenses you have to take into consideration. Our actual net profit is lower than this, obviously, but I just wanted to give you guys an idea of how I decide which lanes to run and how I can quickly figure out if this lane will be profitable for us and worth our time. As you guys can see, there's a lot of money to be made in trucking if you're using a proven, tried and tested system. I'll show you guys how to find direct shipper loads sometime next week, but to get ready for that video, you need to watch this video right here, where I explain how you're losing money every time you use a load board. Anyways, with that being said, thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.